Right guys, thought I'd do another video. Somebody was complaining about the noise in the treadmill, so I'm having a break for the treadmill at the minute. It's nearly 10 o'clock at night here in Spain. It's hot. I think it's 34 degrees in my office today. But I want to go on about a few different things from today, which may be useful, may not. These videos are more about talking and general chatting rather than trying to create hits and stuff like that. I'm not really fussed on the hits. I don't make money off the YouTube in the sense of I've probably got more money in my pocket than I'll make in a month on YouTube. I've never gone down that route to fully monetize. My focus has predominantly been on sharing information. There was something I seen today that sort of hit home a little bit, where they're on about the suicide rate. It was a German documentary about Scotland, that there's a suicide every 2 minutes in Scotland, and it's men. For me, I fully understand the changes that are going on. I've got to admit, I'm quite lucky. I have a good family relationship. I've got a great, fantastic wife, fantastic kids. Just got off the phone with my brother, but you know, my sister's an absolute nightmare, so let's not talk about her. Fantastic network in the Philippines, although I haven't been back for a while. But beyond that, there's nobody left in the UK. But here in Spain, like last week, I met up with a couple of people. I've got Richard coming down to meet me this week as well. I've got Arif coming down this week to meet us. I've got a good network of people. But one of the key things I do is, for me, is to actually expand that out, because it's not just about me. It's the fact is introducing people that I know to other people expands the network further, and this is a key aspect. With the type of work I do, I lose people all the time because we are demographically all over the place. I mean, if I talk about Ashley, for example, a friend of ours. He's over in Dubai at the minute. A lot of the people I work with are all over the UK, and if they're in similar roles, which the majority are, we work late and are often not close to each other. So a lot of time it's phone calls. So like tonight, I've had 4 phone calls from people that are gas engineers, company owners, surveyors, and just generally friends. Generally friends is normally the retired, but they're all people from the industry, and we're not phoning to talk about work, we're talking about other stuff. But the reality is, my network is predominantly around work, because my family's ex-forces, moved to the UK in '89. I was in Worcester for a while, then I've been off travelling and doing other stuff, and even when I was working, I worked all over the place. I did the exhibition circuit for carpentry. I've done a lot of engineering stuff all over the UK. And then, I mean, in 1 year, I think I spent 9 or 9.5 months in Premier Inn hotels, to just give you an idea how often I was away from home. So the relationships are often splintered, you know, in the sense of we're all keeping in touch. And some people find it quite odd that I'll ring them up out of the blue, just check how they are and do stuff like that. But I think more people should do that, because the networks are fractured in today's society. We're not all working at the factory in the city. We're not all retiring in our own town. We're not all in the same circles that we originally started with. Divorce rates are through the roof, which also means in a relationship, who makes most of the relationships of friends? The wife. The wife speaks to more people. I was listening to somebody talk about this the other day, as if it was some putting the wife out doing it. It's like, well, no, because the wife drops the kids off at school, she goes to the bus stop, she sees about 30 people in our community in the morning. I may not see anybody in our community until the weekend, simply because they're not in where I work. But at the same time, you've got to understand, as relationships fracture, a lot of the friends can fracture with it, which is why you're finding a lot of guys now don't have any friends at all. And I think a lot of that is many people don't know how to make friends, a lot of trust has been broken, and there's other stuff that goes on. And I do recommend just putting yourself out there a little bit. I get people get into issues around comfort zones, but in all honesty, just put a bit of effort out there. You may bump into a couple of twats, but at the same time, you may make some good mates. I remember, Van Gogh, funny enough, speaking to Van Gogh yesterday. Van Gogh, I met, I think it was in 2000. It was Christmas 2000, it was Russell and Dorrell's big department store in Worcester. I was doing the rip out on the building, and he was one of the guys that turned up to do some of the work for us. And funny enough, most of the guys were quite young there. Van Gogh's a bit older, a little bit older than me. And I thought he looks a bit out of place here because he's a little bit older than the other guys. So I said, "Oh, do you want to go with them or come with me?" Because I was doing some rip outs on. I think we were taking out hairdressers at that time and some timber framing stuff. So the point is, I wanted somebody that can come with us and hold stuff and do stuff while I was working, and sent all the others like an army of ants, dragging stuff down from the different floors in this department store as we're stripping it out. Interesting job that was, whipping out a department store while it's still running. Yeah, good fun though. But that was 24 years ago. Still friends. Spoke yesterday. The way the media are portraying things and the way things are being pushed now, we're getting more divisions and more divisions and more divisions being created all the time. The way I describe some relationships I have, the way some people are, is a simplistic term of persona non grata, which is basically a person who's not welcome. In a work environment, being pushed out. Could be pushed out because you're a man, pushed out because you're not one of the clique, pushed out because somebody's basically replacing everybody, so that they're all their hires and looking for a narcissist and whatever's going on in some people's mind. But this is not a thing that's just relating to what goes on with myself. There's other people I've met with it and experiencing it and understand it, and then you start seeing you're the last person. So you may have been working with, say, 30 people, 29 are replaced, you're the last person standing. And there's been a few people that confirm they've got exactly the same issues. And it's not you. The fact that everyone else has left says you've got more resilience than everyone else as well, because the fact is you've still stayed. But that's where I think the persona non grata would be very useful. I might get that printed on some t-shirts. But for me, recognize a lot of this is projected. It may not actually be real. A lot of the stuff in the workplace definitely is. The whole diversity, inclusion and equality is definitely pushed in there, which is now being rebranded the other way around. Inclusive, equality and diversity, which conveniently is IED. Brandmaster come up with that one. They are pushing you out. They can deny it all they like, but that's exactly what they're doing. The Trump attempted assassination. You're seeing 3 women that were, for me, too short, weren't physically fit, didn't seem to know what they were doing, especially if you look at the car piece, when when Trump's got in the car. It was almost like daddy-daughter day, where the parents have brought their kids to work for the day, because they just seem to be don't know. And I don't want to ridicule them too much, because I'll tell you what the problem is here. It's not them. People have put them on that stage. You get a gold badge for turning up. You're great. You're fantastic. You're as great as this 6'6" ex-special forces guy, and that has way more experience, way fitter, way faster, way everything else. But you get to wear the same badge. And this goes back to what I was saying about the whole thing on. I don't want any of these people as my surgeon, as my pilot, or anything that's gonna risk people's lives. And the Trump incident, as some call it, which I'll call it the Trump attempted assassination, is a prime example where there's been failings. There's going to be a whole analysis piece on that, because the shot wasn't that far, and I tell you now, I could have took that shot easily. But I wasn't there. But the fact is, the timing where people had seen the guy up there and knowing he was there, and what happened for me was just beyond belief. You know, the delays, I think people saying up to 2 or 3 minutes prior to the actual incident, then the guy was allowed to rack off some shots before he was eventually dealt with. I can't even fathom the stupidity of some of this stuff. But I do understand that those agents, this is why I'm not giving them the grief, people put them in that position. People made them responsible for Donald Trump's safety. People told them they were great. People told them they were the best on the planet and all this crap. And then when it come to the crunch, they didn't do a lot. There's a photo, the one with the funny hair, actually ducking while other people are jumping on Trump to protect him. Like I said, I don't blame them. I blame the people that put them there. And this is the environment we're in. I see everything as a management issue. And I explain this to people, and they often go, because do you know what that is? That's like, I'll have to take responsibility for other people's actions. I do take responsibility for other people's actions, because if somebody does something, I'll ask them why they did it, what was the reasoning, and then try and understand if they did something stupid. Is it because I didn't train them? Did I push them to do something they shouldn't be doing? Didn't they feel comfortable enough to come and tell me they were going to do something stupid? There is many reasons, but ultimately, I take the bullet for it. No, I don't mean that in a literal sense. So pardon the pun on that. That was just timing. But the reality is, we're in a weird world where left is creating issues for everybody. And I do mean everybody, because a lot of the guys, the men going their own way, that's expanding. The passport bros, and I've got to admit, I'm a passport bro before there was even passport bros. I was out of the Philippines from 2000, end of 2006, 2007. And I lived out there for a long period of time. I was not happy in the UK back then. The things, it was all weird, the child court stuff, and when I was trying to do things amicably, and the court systems just give us money. Yeah, but we don't even know what we were doing yet. Yeah, but just tell us how much you earn, where you get paid, and that's where we'll start. The systems are not interested in being ethical, reasonable, etc. Is to take the burden of an ex-partner from the state. They go, well, hang on, you'll work, so let's put the weight on the guys to carry on paying regardless. So I'll go back to where I was. The men are going their own way is increasing. Guys that aren't dating at all, in the sense of it may be the case of they've given up and not even going MGTOW or whatever, they're literally just not even interested in thinking about it. It's not that they've specifically gone out with that thought, but they just don't buy into it anymore. That's growing. Guys going overseas is growing. The globalization costs, as we see France go into turmoil, America about to head full Trump, unless something magical happens. You got the UK, the Labour government, it's asylum mad. They're going to take the burden of everybody who wants to go to the UK and dump it on the taxpayer. Workers. The workers already taxed the hill. It's one of the most expensive places in Europe, if not the most expensive. People start moving away. They look for alternatives. And because the majority of people that are middle or right are fairly quiet, because even people that are fairly extreme on the right, you find a lot of them just want to be left alone. They'll go and buy a bloody hut in the wilderness. The left, they're on TikTok. They're whinging, they're complaining. The disgusting stuff they've been saying about Trump and the retired fireman that died protecting his wife and child. I think they should be arrested. I really do. There's a point where this is no longer conversation, and these people are going way past it. They're pulling the elastic band to see how far they can get, to see how far they can push things, because they've had this ability to blame everybody for their problems. And you can see the bitterness in most of these people is not about me, you, and the general world. The bitterness is within them. The bitterness and problems they have, they're fighting themselves. And I stress that as my own opinion, simply so I can stay on YouTube. But I do think it's actually within them. And then you add some other bits to that. Oh, I'll put the light on, it's getting a bit dark now. You add the other bits to this, that these people are shaping the governments. These people are creating governments that are in chaos. They're not chaos, they're not governments that are functioning. They're not governments that are going to be beneficial to the majority. They're not governments that are going to be beneficial to themselves, because the distortion is going to get worse and worse. We're in a very peculiar place, and I do recommend, living out in Asia, I found people a lot more logical. Life's less complex. You will get people that are difficult. You will get people that are far left, far right, but I didn't see them as a threat the way these people are to, well, democracy. We're talking about assassination here. What a weird place we're in right now. But my point being on the MGTOW, the passport bros and everything else, it used to be pushing the white guys a lot. Bang, bang, bang. The demise of the relationships has hit every demographic. Simping and these other things that are appeared out of nowhere, you'll find a lot of that relates to Asian guys. You look at Japan and suicide rates. You look at China, Scotland with its suicides of men every 2 minutes, according to a German documentary earlier today. People ain't even talking about it. You're not important. You're not important. Persona non grata. Person who's not welcome. And this is why you're seeing the movements grow and change direction. You got guys that are working all day and going playing on the Xbox and stuff. Guys, do yourself a favour. Start trying to create groups with mates. And you ain't got mates, make the groups to create mate groups. I'm going to put more effort in that myself. I do a lot of this stuff online simply because this one originally started on the Philippines, because when I originally went out there, the information was about a decade out of date from the viewpoint of guys in about the 80s. But here in Spain, I do meet people. Bob's gonna know who I was talking about because Bob's not his real name. But it was good to meet Bob last week, and I've got Arif and Richard coming down this week. But one of the key things, I want to start getting people to connect with each other as well, because it's not about me. This channel, my other channel, was never about me. For me, it was the original channel was down, the information being out of date, people saying things like, "Oh, I'll just bribe the officials" and whatever, where I sit there and go, why don't you just work out and do the paperwork? So did that in the Philippines, did the same in Spain, and then you start moving out all the money hustlers. Now, don't get me wrong, fully understand you want to pay people a premium to get away with the hassle, but it's when people start trying to go, "Oh yeah, but they'll never let you do it, blah blah blah." Look, you're getting paid to go and do it. You don't have to try and oversell it or give a falsehood to it. You're getting paid a premium for doing something that people can do themselves most of the time, whether it's car licenses, renewing visas, immigration, dealing with residency visas, dealing with whatever it is, rentals, mortgages, you name it. But that was one of the key things I was looking at originally, and that's why I got into this. No benefit to me at all. In reality, if I'd actually gone down the route of the hustler, I'd have been financially better off going down the rabbit hole of all the others. But for me, I'm not into it for that. I'm into it to help other people. That's it. There's no magic thing here. There's no hidden agenda or anything like that. That's why these videos aren't scripted or anything else. I just talk as I talk. Now we'll get on to why this is going to affect everybody in the long term. Women at the moment, when they get divorced, depending on the country, can get the rights to the ex-husband's pension, get a payoff, get a house, all that sort of stuff. If men go their own way, men don't get married, men don't look for relationships, men go overseas to get married, oh look, the playing field's getting leveled off. But then you've got the influx of people coming in from everywhere around the world, illegals. I'm not going to say immigrants or expats or anything like that, because they normally have an economic reason. You know, when I was out in the Middle East, I'm there because they need specific skills there that aren't available in the local market. That's an economic reason. When people are coming to the UK to live on benefits, and if people are coming to the UK for improving their life at our expense, we've got a problem. If you've got a culture where people don't see an issue of not paying their way, you've got an issue. If people start going more and more overseas, and we start getting more and more of these diversity hires and everything else, we go, right, well, we've got diversity hires in here, and we've got rid of a lot of these people that normally do it, but you know, we don't want the best people doing it because they're the wrong demographic or whatever. We'll put diversity in it. Everything comes down and goes down the toilet, and that's where we're heading. If you look at the people in the Labour government, I'm embarrassed. But the point being is, for anything to get better, it's got to get worse. Guys waking up and controlling their wallet, it's got better. More guys are actually being more switched on about their money. I've got to admit, for me, I still believe in marriage. I still believe in meeting the right person. I believe in marriage being a commitment till death do you part. I'm not one of these fair weather or special day nonsense. If you can't get that level of commitment, don't get married. It's simple as that. Why do you want the headache? Why do you want somebody in your pocket for the rest of your life? Things are changing. I think the Trump shooting has thrown a lot of people off guard. They weren't expecting it. It didn't go their way. Let's face it, if he had died, I think the left would have been celebrating today. Now, I make comparisons to a lot of these people being fascists because quite simply they are. In my opinion, and if you disagree on it, well, go and look up a fascist and see how their viewpoints and stuff align. We should never be in this situation, but we've got it in so many directions. It's all seems very premeditated. It does seem that we're getting it all over the planet in so many places. But this is why people start going down the conspiracy route over the COVID stuff, and I've got to admit, I found the COVID stuff very peculiar, how quickly it was all organised. But for me, I think back to my days up in Birmingham, where they do a lot of design for cars. There's a lot of the training, the university up there that does car design and things like that. And you wonder why cars look the same. Firstly, there's mathematics in it. Secondly, they're all getting trained by the same people. So you go down this same route. So when people start saying Davos and Economic Forum and all this sort of stuff, is that a million miles away from what's really going on? I don't know, but at the same time, it does leave a question mark. The people seem to be going on the same path. Tony Blair still sniffing around. A guy that's despised by so many, yet loved by some that don't even seem to understand what he did. Yeah, I mean that's my viewpoint. I mean you may be a Tony Blair lover, but I despise the man. I think he did so much damage to the UK, and I think too many people pick it bits and try and make out that there's some good in there. yeah, if you're a globalist, maybe. And an interesting one as well, I recommend having a look at, just as a spin-off. Liz Truss, because a lot of the Conservatives will blame Liz Truss for their failures in getting their seats and in the election for the Conservatives. The Conservatives were dead in the water. They royally messed it up time after time after time. Liz Truss, I believe, brought a book out, but if you look at the Lotus Eaters interview with her, you can see her perspective on things, and she mentioned about Tony Blair lingering like a bad smell in the inner circles of the British government. Bearing in mind, he's supposed to be Labour allegedly, or New Labour, or whatever the hell he is. But the key to everything is, for me to you, is quite simply look at everything in a bigger picture. Do your own research, read up things, just to understand it. In the same way, I also recommend this from another perspective, is if you can switch off to it, switch off to it. Things are going to change. We're in the swings of major changes everywhere. 6 months in most places is going to be so much turmoil going on. But while the sun's shining, let's make hay. Enjoy what we've got. The problems are going to be there tomorrow, but I've got to admit my view on leftists has got a lot more severe lately, simply because of the stuff that's coming out today. They disgusted me. Now, don't get me wrong, it's not all left, but it's very hard to give them the time of day anymore. It's I'm just about to start to watch a documentary because I'm going back on the treadmill. It's on about fetishism or something in the workplace around BDSM and stuff. Now, I've got no issue with people, whatever they do in their home or whether they go to special clubs for it or whatever. they're not bothering anybody. But bizarrely, when I go to work, I want to work and do my job. I'm not interested in people wandering around in gimp masks or whatever the hell they want to do now. Go away. Keep it to your own domain. You'll never normalise it with people like myself. And I'm not going down the route of the Spanish Inquisition either. I'm just saying, leave me the hell alone. It's not for the workplace, guys. Unless you work in that industry anyway. But anyway, I know it's a bit of a long video again, but I just wanted to sort of put that out there today. But yeah, guys, we need to have a think, some ideas of how it grows from groups for guys. Because like I said, I do worry about the number of suicides going up. I do worry about the fact that the splintering between colours, races, and genders is getting worse. And when I say genders, I'm mainly talking male and female. See, I'm trying to do it, but I have a lot of friends that are gay, etc. I say etc. because it's so broad. But I'm not bothered about what people's genders are at all. They're not bothering me, I'm not bothering them. I speak to them because they're my friends, they are my friends, etc. I don't need constantly these people that are on their extremes of these groups anyway. They're not the representation of the majority of people out there. And I think that's the bit we need to sort of realise and focus on. Is most of these clowns, I don't mean that to the people I know, I'm all about these ones that are raving lunatics online, are on the extremes of, well, they're not even their communities, because most of these ain't even communities. Yeah, it's a peculiar one, because I don't believe the LGBT and whatever it is this week is even a community. I mean, I struggle with that, because the lesbians I know aren't best mates with the gays I know, because they say they're not the same mindset and thoughts and stuff. I don't understand. That's like, you might as well just throw everybody in that group, because the ones I know are further apart than they would be with straight people. So it's I find it peculiar. Yeah, I know I overthink some of this stuff sometimes, but I don't mind anybody being anybody. But I just want people to just realise we just need to get on in life. We just need most of these headaches just to stop. It's not going to end. It's going to end in tears. But one of the things I do want to promote is guys looking after each other, guys promoting groups. Because it doesn't need to be like, let's all sit around and hug each other, or like the Germans running around naked in the forest. It can literally just be meeting up at a bar on a Friday with a group of mates. It could literally be a walking football team, or a five-a-side football team, or bowling on a Thursday. It's getting people together that can just bond without any restrictions. There's no presumptions. There's no demands on anybody. It's like, if you turn up, you turn up. You don't turn up, don't worry about it. But it's nice when you start getting, because I remember as a kid, we used to hang around on the field, and I think it started with about three of us used to hang out there. I think in the end there was about somewhere between 40 and 20 of us. We didn't actually do anything. The odd time we might have a football, but the majority of the time we just hung out. But we need those sort of environments, and it doesn't need to be driven by alcohol, because I think alcohol's another issue. But if guys want to meet up on a Friday and go for a beer, that's fine. But if other people say, I'm not really into drinking, in other words, they might be trying to avoid alcohol, have a coffee morning. In the Philippines, I used to meet people at 10 a.m. If they want to come around the house, because everyone's still sober at that time. But it also means you don't realise some people do have issues, which is also a bit peculiar when you later realise they've got issues, because you thought, I meet them every week and it never happened before. But even then, it's there's no objective here beyond friendship. if people have got issues, they've got issues. They want to share it, let them share it. We shouldn't be objecting to people. We shouldn't be judging people. We should just be there. A lot of time it's just being there for each other, even if somebody bores your ear off sometimes talking about relationships or something's happened. They've got it out of their system. So you can bore them to tears about you, whatever you're up to. Over time, you end up having other conversations as you build relationships. But for me, I think it's important that as guys, we do it more. And if there's women out there that want to do it, same as. It's, but I do think it's probably more prevalent for guys at the moment, as a separate entity for a lot of people, simply because of the suicide rates. There's a lot of lonely guys out there, and it's hard. We're in a strange world. But I do think the fact that this leveling off's happening between men and women as well, about the financial changes. We're going to see changes in women's mental health as well, if not already. I mean, you're starting to see the hitting the wall type stuff online, but I think there'll be a lot more severe stuff over the next decade. Oh, I feel like a therapist now. Anyway, guys, thanks for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's not the greatest of positivity, but this was more of a thought video rather than keep it all positive. Well, as Trump says, fight, fight, fight. But anyway, guys, thanks for watching.